Halloween matchup predictions. This is going to be fairly quick. I only have 15 minutes via YouTube rules. So matchups will be a quick rundown, and I'll include the costume recommendations by everyone as well. Bear with me, I'm battling a bit of a cold. I'd hoped to write up a script for this. However, I really haven't done anything for the last 2 days. Aubrey's been homesick, and so it's been taking care of her. Hope to have a script for this, but I'm going to be winging it, so bear with me. Let's start off with our first matchup right away off the bat. Got Gordons of the Galaxy, that'd be me, against Rickaboo. Jake's already off to a good start. Let's talk about Halloween costume recommendations here. A couple good ones. In fact, everybody gave good ones. Jake went ahead and recommended that I would dress up as an old grandma. And I went ahead and recommended that Jake would dress up as a big booty hoe. Like I said, Jake was off to a good start already. DeAndre Hopkins, 23 points on Thursday night. Looking at some of the matchups here for the remainder of the games, I think Jake probably has this one in the bag. Tyreek Hill's been dynamite all season long with Patrick Mahomes, and I'm filling in some bye weeks with a couple scrap players in Kenyon Barner and Wendell Smallwood. Overall, a couple of decent matchups for both teams, but in the end, I think Rickaboo comes out on top with this one. Alright, our next matchup, we got Kiss My Lutz versus Stick Stickly. Let's talk about their costume recommendations here. Robbie recommended that Pete would dress up as Helga from Hey Arnold. Makes sense. And Pete recommended Robbie would dress up as a sexy punk rock drummer. Let's talk about their matchup here. Pete, another benefactor of a Thursday night game. Lamar Miller putting up 19 points for him. I didn't really expect that, but good for him. When I look at the matchups here, look at Robbie's team and his key players. They have some tough matchups. Whereas looking at Pete's team, Miller exploited a good matchup, and then AJ Green and Jimmy Graham both have favorable matchups. I think overall, Robbie's got the better running back situation, and Pete's definitely got the better wide receiver situation. I think because of the wide receiver situation, Pete comes out on top on this one. Stick Stickly for the win. Alright, let's talk about our next matchup. We've got Ski Tillerts and Alfred the Butker. Let's talk about their costumes. Tyler recommended that Bryce would dress up as a hippie. Yeah, I think Bryce would do that as a male or female. Makes sense. And Bryce recommended that Ty would dress up as Dr. Frankenfurter from Rocky Horror Picture Show. So looking at this matchup, I think you got a pair of quarterbacks that probably cancel each other out. Between Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers, they're both elite quarterbacks, and both should do fairly well, although they have a few tough matchups. I look at Ty's team, and it's kind of surprised me all year, but he has made some good moves to even out his roster. Selecting Latavius Murray was a great selection. Tay Train's been great with Dalvin Cook out, and Christian McCaffrey's actually been a pretty solid player for him, although the past few weeks he's cooled off a bit. On Bryce's side of the game here, Jordan Howard and Chris Thompson, not the most appealing running backs, but they've got fairly decent matchups. Bryce is hoping that Thompson will play, and he was a full participant on Friday, so it looks to be that way. I think what separates these two teams is the wide receiver situation, and I think Bryce has got the one-up on that with Antonio Brown and Michael Thomas. I also think getting Zach Ertz was a big add to him, and I think that'll be the difference maker in this one. I think Bryce takes this one. Ski till it hurts for the win. All right, let's get to our next matchup. We're going to go ahead and talk about El Jefe versus the Toddfather. A couple of good costume recommendations here. We've got JT recommending that Matt would dress up as Fat Tinkerbell. And Matt, I think doing a little play on words here with Hooters, recommending JT would wear a Droopers outfit. That's a pretty good one. When talking about the fantasy matchup here, you know, Matt off to another hot start here with from a Thursday night game. 31 points from Deshaun Watson. The guy just absolutely tore it up. Just annihilated Dolphins defense. JT is going to be slinging out Andy Dalton. He's got Phillip Rivers and Matt Ryan on a bye. But Dalton does have a good matchup against the Tampa Bay defense. We're ranked worst pass defense in the league, so he could take advantage of that. But I think the key factor here is, of course, JT's running backs. Todd Gurley, Kareem Hunt have been just unbelievable this year, and will continue to be that way. They've got decent matchups this week, and I think they'll exploit them. And then, of course, Adam Thielen, who's just absolutely elite this year, and he's going against a pretty porous New Orleans Saints pass defense as well. I think that game will be a shootout, so I think Thielen puts up a fair number of points too. On Matt's side, he's got two questionable running backs starting for him, and Chris Carson and Phillip Lindsay. They do have good matchups, so we'll see if they can take advantage of them. I think Kansas City and Denver will be a shootout, so not sure where Phillip Lindsay will play into that. As for wide receivers, he's got Brandon Cooks and Alshon Jeffrey. Jeffrey going against the best pass defense in the league, and Cooks going against the middle-of-the-road Green Bay pass defense. And then, of course, the big Gronk at the tight end position. He's questionable to play. Didn't play last week, but you know, they made it sound like he was going to play this week. Matt's going to need that. I don't think it's going to matter in the end, as JT's going to come out on top, even if with Matt's 31-point head start. I'm picking the Toddfather in this one. All right, let's move on to our next matchup. We're going to talk about Sons of Pody versus Own a Laundromat and Barbershop. So costume recommendations for this one. I went ahead and had Dylan recommend costumes for both Ross and Bundy. For Ross, he recommended that he be a Dragon Queen. And for Bundy, he recommended he be Lois Griffin. Hope you guys enjoy this photo. As for Dylan's outfit, well, Ross and Bundy both collaborated on this one, and this is what they came up with. He would wear this and say he is Jasmine from Aladdin. He would also wear panties that have a golden lamp on them and ask random guys to rub it and see if they would get a wish. Spoiler alert, he would give out wishes 80% or more of the time. Nice job, guys. Well, let's look at their matchup. Ross, another Thursday night player on his team, and Danny Amendola is filling in for Cooper Kupp, who's probably not going to play, and then Calvin Ridley, who's on a bye. Did get 12 points out of him, so not bad. You know, that passing touchdown certainly helped. When we talk about the quarterbacks here, both teams have an elite quarterback in Kirk Cousins and Patrick Mahomes. Man, the Chiefs probably didn't think that Mahomes was going to be that good, but man, he was just tearing it up. Looking at running backs, Dylan's going with a pair and T.J. Yeldon and Marlon Mack, and Ross is going with Adrian Peterson and David Johnson. Johnson struggled all year, hasn't really been able to bust out, and I think that's been due to poor quarterback play. He needs a better quarterback play for that to actually happen. I look at Ross's matchups, and they're really, you know, for Cousins, Peterson, Johnson, Hilton, they all have really good matchups, and I think this could be a week where they bust out. You know, and then looking at Dylan's matchups, he's got a couple favorable matchups too. Again, Diggs going against a terrible Saints pass defense, Landry going against a not so good Pittsburgh pass defense, and then of course Travis Kelce, number 2 tight end in the league right now. I think this one's going to be a close one. It's going to come down. It's going to come down to the end. But I'm actually going to give this one to Ross. I think his difference maker, even though it's a tough matchup, is Kerryon Johnson. I think Detroit needs to commit to the run to beat Seattle, and I think they'll do that, and I think Johnson has a good day. Alright guys, let's talk about our last matchup. Last matchup was definitely the matchup of the week. We got 2-5 teams heading up. That'd be the Airheads versus Too Many Steps. Let's talk about some Halloween costumes here. Phil gave a good recommendation. Went ahead and said Dickie would dress up as a ladybug. And unfortunately, as of Saturday morning at 10:20 a.m., Dickie has not provided me with a costume for Phil. So I went ahead and made one up for Phil, and I think we'll all agree on this one. Alright, let's get down to their matchup here. Looking at their two teams, I think you got two quarterbacks again, kind of like some of the other matchups. Probably going to cancel each other off. They both have fairly decent matchups. I think the Rams and Packers game will be a shootout like it was when the Rams played the Vikings. I think Goff will do well, and Luck plays against the back-end Oakland defense, and I think he'll take advantage of them as well. Dickie's got a couple tough matchups for his running back situation. Both Kamara and Chubb playing tough run defenses. And Kamara, I'm not sure what his role is going to be going forward. It seems that they really want to get Ingram more involved. So we'll see if Kamara can maintain that high level pace like he did at the beginning of the season. As for Phil, man, James White and James Conner have just been unbelievable for him. James squared, I guess, huh? They both have pretty favorable matchups too, and I think they both take advantage of it, and I think these two guys put up some big numbers for Phil. As for the wide receiver situation, I think for the most part they cancel each other out, and then I think maybe their flex position will also cancel each other out. Guys just trying to fill in some bye weeks here with a couple players. So I think it really does come down to the running back play, and I think ultimately Phil takes this one in the end. Too Many Steps for the win. All right, guys, like I said, quick and dirty rundown of Week 8's Halloween matchups. I hope you guys enjoyed the pumpkin that I carved up here, represent the Pody League for us. Thanks for bearing with me. I've been battling a cold. My voice is a little up and down and scratchy. Even got my baby monitor here. Little one's finally sleeping. Only got about 4 hours sleep last night, so like I said, put this one out. Just kind of was winging it, and hopefully it went okay. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Holy shit! Spiders flying out of the ceilings here. Holy crap! Get back up there. Get up there. Well, until next time, guys. Take it easy.